is Sunday, June the 4th, 2017. Time, there's another pay-per-view. Excuse me, I'm getting flustered already. I was flustered earlier when the show started, so apparently my voice is trying to play catch-up there. Welcome to Wrestleview Live. We are live on YouTube. We're also on the front page of Wrestleview.com. Hi, everybody. I'm Adam Martin, editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com. If you're hitting the website, that's who I am. Thought I'd say hi to you because you might be confused why there's live video playing on the front page. Maybe you're showing up to see what happened at Extreme Rules. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about it, so you don't have to do that unless you want to. Also joined, as always, by Mr. Doug Lackey. Douglas, how are you, sir? Hanging in there?
Oh, I'm full of tubas today.
Full of tubas, yeah. Before we started doing the show, we were both, because obviously Samoa Joe is the new #1 contender for the Universal Championship, and we were both just making his we were both just having our good old time to the it's a very infectious.
Just trying to get amped up for the show. That's all we're trying to do, you know.
It's an infectious theme.
You know, nothing psychs you up more than some tuba.
I have to tell you, I was not feeling this show for a while. It was this is one
of those doozies. Yeah.
So we started. We were here 2 weeks ago talking about Backlash, and just what a difference. It's like there's a point where it's like, you know, yes, this is the same company. There's pretty much the same people making the same decisions. Yes, there's a little drawing of the lines between the creative teams, and there's some different people making decisions. But like, it's amazing to me how dreadful and boring Raw is, and just how. And I hate to make the comparisons because one show is 3 hours and the other show is 2, but man, like. The first hour of this show tonight was not good, and I had people tuning like, "Oh, it's not that bad." I was just like, "Ugh!" Like I don't know, man.
It dragged.
It really did.
It was dragging hard, man. I don't know what to blame for it, or who to blame. I don't know.
Well, that's what people go for right away.
And I don't want to say it was the first match. It couldn't have been the first match. I think it was what followed it. Was what dragged it down. Jeez.
Maybe. I don't know. There was a weird vibe from the beginning. I don't know if it was a lack of buzz for the show, or if it was just there was I also have to keep this in mind, and I repeat this a lot when we do these shows, and back in the VIP days when we would come on here. It's June 4th. So we're not going to get like WrestleMania. I understand that. And, to be honest, tonight was probably supposed to be Braun Strowman night, and that didn't happen because of an injury. So we have to move forward, and I understand that. And they did stack this main event. I mean, the main event, they started playing the video package about an hour ago to as we are live now. So with 1 hour of the show left, basically, they were playing the video package, getting you hyped up. So they definitely booked, and if you watch the advertising, you didn't see a lot of advertising for Miz and Ambrose. You didn't see a lot of advertising for Bayley and Alexa Bliss. You didn't see a lot of advertising for the steel cage match. You saw there's going to be a fatal 5-way, Doug. There's these 5 dudes, and that was it. So it was basically, from an advertising perspective, it was a one-match show. But stuff also happened leading up to this one big match, and
but it was so ham-fisted.
It was.
I mean, it was, everything was so severely ham-fisted. And if we want to try to, separate the two television shows, Raw and SmackDown, I mean, yes, we were here 2 weeks ago talking about SmackDown's pay-per-view. But in reality, it's been, 5 weeks since Raw had a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And that means 5 weeks to, yes, it is disappointing, especially for me, and I know a lot of people that Braun Strowman is hurt. I mean, don't get me wrong. But that injury happened a week after your previous pay-per-view. That means you still had 4 weeks to build this show, okay, and to have a plan B. And also, I mean, I guess this is kind of weird also is they knew this, I'd say this elbow cleanup of Strowman was going to be coming soon. Okay, this was not just some spontaneous out of the blue, oh my God, his elbow's done, he's going to have surgery, it's screwed up everything. No, this was in the horizon that this was going to be happening soon. They just had to choose when to have this surgery take place, when to have this injury timeout take place. They chose the time. They had the time to build up to this show, and it was so poorly done. And I don't really think it's even the pay-per-view's fault that it was so, so slow. I blame the Raws following, leading into the show that made it so, dear God, the past two Raws were bad, really bad. I don't know how other way to put it. You know what I was really looking forward to in this pay-per-view that I'm surprised did not happen was R-Truth Goldust.
Yeah, there was some stuff they could
have put that in there, I mean, not saying that take a match out and put that in its place, but that would have been a great filler match to put in there. We only had 6 matches here during this show.
And Elias Sampson playing a guitar.
Well, yeah, I don't mind that if you want to try to build up him as a character on the show and everything. But still, you could have had more in this show, is what I guess what I'm trying to say. Is
it because, okay, so you said I'm going to have to take your word for it. I do not watch Raw from start to finish. I watch clips on YouTube. I might fast forward a little bit on the DVR, but I am not sitting there watching the whole 3 hours. But is there also... Am I being is it too much of a generalization on my point to say, well, it's June 4th, Doug, so why care? But it's also, it's a different world though. I mean, this is a content driven platform that this show's being provided on, and they got to do a show, and not that they necessarily have to say we need, because I really, really liked going back to the 12 shows a year format, and now we're back to upwards of 15, 16 now. At least 16. When it starts to feel forced is when I get nervous, and tonight felt like it's like we had to do a show tonight, and that's not, I don't like that, especially in the summertime when it's starting to get a little, and like again 2 weeks from tonight, Doug's Money in the Bank, so it's just like bang, 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 bang. I mean, it's just a lot of content, and that's why I get nervous when they slap these many shows so close together.
But what I really hate is we always seem to use this excuse ever since I've been with you guys doing these podcasts for upwards to 6-7 years now for Wrestleview, is we always use this excuse around this time of the year when, it's a slow part of the year and they'll just go and do whatever the heck they want. And, they're just throwing darts at the wall, hoping to hit the board at least. But I'm really tired of that excuse. Okay. I'm really, really tired of it. And especially with the environment that they have now, that they have created for themselves with their own network. They have their own entity. They have their own control now. They are not burdened by a pay-per-view limit. They're not burdened by a time limit on their pay-per-views. God, we see it on every single pay-per-view. Everything seems to have at least a 10-minute match. Why, I don't know.
Well, they do have, I do want to interject. They do sort of have a time limit because there are still people that watch these shows on traditional pay-per-view. It's not very big, but people do. So I'm sure there's a rule that says they can't go beyond 3 hours. But you are right in that now that they don't necessarily have to stay within those parameters, they can do kind of whatever they want. They don't have to do 3 hours guaranteed we're out. They could finish a match, 15, 20 minutes before the top of that third hour, and then they'd be fine. But it's weird. People still do buy pay-per-views.
But I'm just really, really tired of the excuse that we give at this time every year whenever they try something new or they put on a less than average show, and we always use the excuse, well, it's that time of the year, they can just do what they want. No, not anymore. Not with what they have now. They now have an audience that they need to cater to that is paying for them every month.
Because almost
have their service.
It's almost more of a risk now, because you're right in that. And I think what you're saying is, before these shows were, $50 HD, 55. I don't remember. It's been so long since.
At least 50 HD.
Now you pay $10 a month, but they run the risk of someone going, I thought, like let's say tonight, someone goes, I don't like Samoa Joe winning tonight, and then they could lose that person. Maybe that person comes back in August for SummerSlam. Maybe that person doesn't come back till the Rumble in January, but they, because there's no incentive. Like you could, I guess you could. I guess here's another question: when you sign up for the network, can you pay a year in advance, or do you have to go month to month?
You can go. You're going month to month.
So there's no like you get to slap down a year's worth, and
there is no agreement of going 6 months or 12 months or anything like that. You can cancel at any time and then come back at any time.
So it's even more of a risk for them that they have to perform year round now, whereas the summer thing is just you can't say that anymore.
Yeah, there are no excuses anymore. Okay, I mean, it used to be that we got you to buy the pay-per-view, so we're just going to show 2 hours of a jar of mayonnaise. We don't care. We got your money. Not anymore. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you may have gotten their money, but they can easily stop giving it to you now. Okay. And I know that really sounds weird in comparison to on a pay-per-view schedule. And okay, so what's to say that person's not going to pay that $50 for the next show? But it's still panned out when they did it that way. This go around and the other big go around with this is the WWE Network is their number one caveat to their investors. This is the number one figure they look at when it comes to all of their meetings and all of their profiting, going, look at what we have generated through our own content. These are the subscriptions. But what's so striking to me is that they even just don't care even when they have this going on, that they put on a show like this and they don't think it's going to have that major of an impact. Mm-hmm. I really think with a show like this, it can have an impact. People who watch this show, and yes, you can be happy that for some of the results of the matches. I'm not even talking about the results. I'm just talking about the content of this show. It was so mediocre that it would not shock me if you saw subscriptions drop and they not jump back up until August, until SummerSlam. Okay. That's just me. I mean, does it worry me? Not really. But man, you can just tell when you have really poor television shows to lead up to a pay-per-view, this is what happens. Okay. And man, the Raws before this were drab awful. I mean, they were as predictable as you could get. And then leading up to this was almost as predictable as you could ever get. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what really specifics to talk about with the show. I mean, where do we start off? I know we always want to try to start off with, well, what did we like about the show?
And I will say the one thing I did like was the close of the show. I thought going with Joe, I mean, you could have gone with Finn too, because Finn didn't really lose the Universal Championship, so you could have had that as a logical. The one thing I've been seeing, Doug, for the last couple of weeks is that Brock Lesnar is ruining this company because he's not made an appearance since WrestleMania week. He's the champion, but at the same time, I don't see how much better the show would have been if Brock was on the show every week too. So I mean, I understand the anger and the how dare they reaction to Brock not being on television, but
if Brock was on television, Braun Strowman would have been deflated.
Exactly.
Tremendously.
You got to give it, and I think we talked about this WrestleMania time was, Brock's been around for more than 5 years? Has it been 5 years now? A little over 5?
Yeah, we're looking upwards of 5 years back.
So yeah maybe I agree that the uniqueness and the presentation of Brock, it might be waning a little bit, but at the same time, when the dude walks out, I sit up in my chair and I pay attention. I don't do that for a lot of guys in this roster, so that's a problem they need to address. But the Samoa Joe thing, I think, makes perfect sense. I mean, yes. You look at the caveat, it looks obviously like they want to try to do Roman and Brock at WrestleMania next year, if that continues to be the path they want to go down. I don't see Seth being an interesting contender right now. Bray Wyatt, we've already kind of tried it, and I wasn't a big fan of how things went with Randy, so we're going to pass on that one for now. Granted, he's switched brands since then, but I think let's just see how this goes with Joe. I mean, Joe has the I come into this conversation 100% completely biased because I've always been a big fan of Samoa Joe's presentation. The way he moves in the ring, the I'm going to knock you out aura of him. I like the idea of those two dudes going head to head. Will that make people, like you said, want to keep their subscription? Will that make them want to watch in a few weeks with that horribly titled Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view name?
That didn't really sound right, when Samoa Joe won the match. It doesn't really, when you hear Joe's going to Great Balls of Fire, that doesn't really, get you all amped up and excited like you would hear Joe's going to Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. No, he's going to Great Balls of Fire.
It's weird. And I did you see the video promo for it tonight?
Oh, how couldn't you?
They did this what would you call it?
1950s-esque,
like a doo-wop, where like there was a Roman it was Roman Reigns logo in a car, and then they had like a Samoa Joe's diner, and then they had Brock Lesnar being on the big drive-in movie theater, and it's just kind of like, all right, this screams of like a Vince McMahon. This sounds great, and then people are just too scared to say this is really, really stupid, but they're just doing it anyway because, I really don't like doing
the golly willikers. I can't wait for this.
Vince,
pay-per-view.
This is a great idea. I remember the meme that we showed of Triple H standing next to Vince, going, "Yeah, this is a great idea," but I do not want to be the let's blame Vince McMahon for everything, because that's just like the go-to. Like if there was a list of 3 things people criticize the WWE about that has absolutely no thought out response to it, that's like number 1 or number 2 is, well, it's just Vince McMahon. So there's a lot of things you could criticize this company about before Vince McMahon, and people always just seem to do that. But the Joe thing, I'm fine with it. I like you said, I wasn't blown away by it. I wasn't going, oh my God, but I liked that. I liked also that they were teasing that Roman was going to win. I like how they can use that as a prop almost in a match now. Of they know he's going to get booed, so let's try to tease and hit the spears and hit the Superman punches and just start pissing people off, and then just to have Joe kind of slip in there after Finn did the top rope, and then I thought it was pretty good. I didn't totally hate it.
I mean, of all the times that we always, well, I know at least you always say that Roman Reigns is the new John Cena, and I'm always here to go, well, no, because these are 2 separate shows. He's not the number 1 guy, though. It can easily be fallen flat on its face. But this match in particular, yes, he was the John Cena. He was the one that would do his signature moves. Everyone's booing. Whenever he would get punched, people are cheering. Yeah, this match, Burdant was the John Cena, and that's perfectly fine. That's a great role to have. And he soaks it up. Oh, he absolutely soaks it up. Does so well with it too. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to, I have no problem with Joe winning it and going to is it going to be the perennial Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view? I don't.
And Big D.
But I mean, I've got no problem with this. I mean, it's interesting. I'm not as biased as you are in that the only Samoa Joe that I know of is when I would unfortunately recap TNA. And so that's the Samoa Joe that I know. And really, when I started recapping it is when he started having like problems with, being drunk on a couch and someone writing Sharpie on his face.
Yeah, the tattoo.
Yeah, I know that's what I remember of him. I remember a lot of horrible storylines of him that were not his doing. No. Okay. But the activity that he does in the ring, absolutely. I am all for this match between him and Lesnar. When the match was at first announced and they announced, they say the 5 that are going to be in it, immediately I thought, no, it's not going to be Balor. They are not going to bust their nut this early. No way in hell. And you can't do that. A match like that where you want Balor to finally go after the title he never lost, you save that for a higher end pay-per-view. You save that for a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series or a Big Four. Seth Rollins kind of fizzles a little bit. I mean, if everyone can remember the last time he was in the ring with Brock Lesnar, he basically got tossed around until The Undertaker showed up. Bray Wyatt, yeah, you could say we tried that experiment, but there's a big difference between Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar. And so I wouldn't mind seeing that, but
maybe eventually.
And also, and Roman Reigns, that's WrestleMania. You don't do that right now.
No.
So I was looking between Wyatt and Joe were the two that I was looking at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And either one, I really did like the match and the chemistry that those two had during the match. And that's probably the only good thing that the TV shows had going into the pay-per-view was that there was going to be this little budding, like team of these two, but also they were going to be watching each other's back for each other, for that swerve to come. That was a nice little storyline that they put into the match. But apart from that, I've got no problem with Joe. It'll be interesting. I can only imagine if the match itself if it lasts longer than 5 minutes, what does that say about Goldberg?
That he was in bad shape.
I guess.
But
what does that say about Lesnar and that, Goldberg, surprised him?
Goldberg got in pretty good shape for his age. I found a picture of your boy, Samoa Joe, with the scary tattoo with remember he used to carry around the big machete or whatever that thing was? And it was that. And then there's a couple pictures of when back in the day when he was going against Scott Steiner and then the main event mob. So honestly, it's a real shame that is your exposure to Joe, because he was incredibly well used in Ring of Honor. I didn't get to see everything he did in Ring of Honor, but I saw a decent amount of it. And then he went basically on a tear for 1 year in TNA where he beat everybody that they put him up against. And then, of course, Kurt Angle came in and ended the streak, which was a little odd, but there was a solid year or two between Ring of Honor and then when he left their promotion, came to TNA, he was just off the charts, and they really should have pulled the trigger on him a lot faster in TNA than they did. They waited many years, but I also have to admit though, what you were saying is right. I mean, there was a lag period there for many years where he was just doing stuff in TNA, and it was really left a lot to be desired. So not good at all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on next to the only other thing I liked about this show. Maybe you liked more than two things on the show, so you tell me.
Okay.
But I liked Neville and Austin Aries tonight. I liked the story that they told in the match. I liked that they were working Austin's knee, because that's something they've been emphasizing on television in the last few weeks. I liked the teases that he was trying out new submissions tonight to try to trick Neville, and that he almost had the match won, and he actually did at one point have the match won on the outside, and just, for the lack of interest in 205 Live and the Cruiserweights, these guys have actually been doing a very good job. I don't know what this means now, if they're going to start fresh starting this week, because they've kind of done Neville and Austin Aries since March. So at this point, you got to move on.
It's been going on since February.
Yeah, February, you're
March.
Right.
I mean,
it's been a long time. So I thought that was really well executed. I guess to me, up to that match and the main event, I was just not feeling the show. So I thought it started really slow and it picked up steam with Neville and Aries and finished strong with the main event. But that was my other choice for the other thing that I liked. But I don't know. What are you feeling about the Cruiserweights? Because I know we've talked the 205 Live thing to death, but I would say these guys have been the majority of the focus the last few months.
Well, they've really been the only focus. Has been them. They're trying their damnedest to insert other storylines into this. I think with Tony Nese, they're trying to do something, and now they also tried to do this thing. I guess is cruiserweight related with Noam Dar and the outlandish guy. The other black guy with
Rich
the weird
Swan.
knees.
Can you handle this?
Him.
Dougie, can you handle? No, you don't like the song. I didn't like the dancing because Sasha just made it awkward, but yeah.
Everything about him is awkward. Okay, he's not outlandish to me. He's awkward.
He tries though. I give him credit. He tries.
He tries hard, but dear God, I think I said it on the Facebook page. I mean, after that match, watching Sasha and Swan dance, I was like, Jesus, and I thought I was white. Man, Jesus Christ. Man.
Did you happen to see a promo that they did with Sasha and Rich Swan? I would love to play it for everybody, but I think YouTube would yank us off.
Yeah, we can't do that.
But it's on my Twitter feed. It was from, I think, Monday night. So if you go back, it was bad. And all I did was I said, you'll know exactly why I shared this when you watch it. and pretty much everybody understood what I was trying to say without having to really say it. But it was bad, and it was more Sasha being bad than Rich. So
and the thing is, I blame that match for how I kind of felt throughout this entire show. I mean, Ambrose and Miz was a fun match. You know, it had its wacky hijinks and everything of the Miz trying to take advantage of the stipulation that was put on there. You know, I thought that was a fun match, you know. But then came that mixed tag match. And yeah, when that was announced and Alicia Fox and her hips coming down to the ramp giving me vertigo. I was just like, I don't want this. Why are we having this? Was enough time really invested in your television shows to warrant this?
apparently.
Like, okay. And in my mind, when this is happening, I'm like, well, okay, they're going to be surprising us with R-Truth Goldust because that has way more storyline potential. I mean, they put a lot more effort into that one. I mean, that was a storyline that was building for at least 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. You know, you had it on your TV shows. This one has just been, you know, only 5 minutes each invested. I mean, come on. Okay, I know they're going to be bringing that in, right? Okay, well, now we're going to have the Alexa Bliss Bayley match.
Can't wait to talk about that one.
Okay. Yeah. But and the steel cage match was fun. I really like that they put that caveat in there of the only way you can win is by escaping.
Okay,
because that is something I believe should always have been.
I totally agree with that. And I am 100% in agreement. I love that. The only time and again, maybe this is me being picky. So by all means, if I sound like a picky asshole, call me on it right now because I have no problem. Yeah. But when you add that caveat to that, Doug, to me, a very important aspect of the presentation of that goes along with that is timing. Yes. And when Sheamus and Cesaro have to pretend to crawl and climb very slowly because they're staring at the door, it just doesn't it doesn't equate. Like, I know people are saying, well, yeah, they're so, yeah, but if you're gonna do that, really time it up well so that right as they're dropping down, he's just pulling Jeff out, not them and then it just no. Yeah, and then it just no. That's the one thing I thought. I going in, I was like, okay, this is cool. They're saying no pinfall, no submission. You can only win the matchup by escaping. Some people did complain, Doug, that Jeff Hardy left the match. Technically, Matt was by himself, and then he re-entered the match, which meant he then had to re-exit again. You can't. Yeah, I'm not getting caught up in that stuff.
I'm not getting caught up into that. No, that's a caveat you put in there. Both people have to be outside of the cage, feet touching the floor. You can get back in there. I mean, come on. You're not going to go ahead and... You can't say the person's just, all right, one half of the team is won. Now it's 2-on-1. Mm-hmm. No, you don't. No, you don't do that. You know.
Some people complain
I'm kind of with you in that the timing of, all right, we're coming down the cage. Now we'll do it.
Yeah, it just don't. I mean, if you're gonna go that far with it and have it be creative, don't fuck up the most important aspect of the match. Like, it just that really took that match down a peg for me when I saw that, and I was like, oh man, they had such potential here, and then they just kind of.
But what's kind of weird about that too is that, you know, there are so many times where the performer is closer to the door than they are the corner that they pick to climb out of the cage.
Yeah, it's a little silly.
And you can't just look at him and go, dude, the door's right there.
It's the silly
just
aspect.
Go to the door. You know, why are you climbing? It's right there.
It's right there.
You know?
I know.
But the thing is, that's kind of why I like that kind of stupidity in a steel cage match.
It's a little silly.
You know?
Silly on purpose.
It is, especially when there's 4 people inside the damn thing and not 2, you know.
I really want to mention Alexa Bliss and Bayley. By the way, take a guess. How long do you think this match went, if you had a guess? Minutes-wise.
Gosh. Minute-wise, I'd say not but 4 minutes.
You were close. It was 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And I guess that was... So there was a lot of questions I saw on my Twitter feed of people. I think Jason Amico joked that Bayley fail a wellness policy or something because that was abrupt to just have her lose in 5 minutes. Granted, the story they were trying to tell before this match was even booked was that she wasn't extreme enough, she wasn't hardcore enough. So the second she did get hit with a kendo stick, Alexa said, "You're gonna crumble." If you even wanted to take it as far as comparing it to, you know, a boxing fight or a mixed martial arts fight, there's a lot of fighters that will hype themselves up, but as soon as they get in a situation where they know they're down and they just it's not that they get knocked out or submitted, they just mentally kind of give up. And I think that's kind of what they were trying to tell with Bayley, was that, oh well, Doug, she's just a girl that likes to hug people, she's so nice, but as soon as I hit her with a kendo stick, that this thing's over with. And that's kind of what they ended up doing. It was just a lot more abrupt than I thought. So maybe I need to step back, watch it again. I guess because we're so trained to go, oh, well, Doug, this is a pay-per-view. It's going to go like 10, 12 minutes. It's a championship match. No, they said, we're in and out in 5 minutes. And that was it.
Well, the story they're telling is that, yes, Bayley, the kendo stick is not the club that she chooses for the hole that she's on. She feels like she doesn't need that. And I totally get that's the story. And I also get the story that the kendo stick, she crumbles to a weapon. I totally get that. My thing with the match and the story that it was telling was that this object that is sitting on this pole in this match is an object of death. Whoever gets this thing, the match is over. Period. Whoever gets it. Because, first off, these are females in this match. This is the first time they've ever had this kind of match. And female wielding this kind of a weapon, whether it be either that or a steel chair or a baseball bat or even a barbed wire covered in that, it's going to hurt. Okay? These are not 250-pound men slugging each other with a kendo stick. Okay? These are creatures half their size. So when they get slugged with something like that, yeah, that's the end of the match. Okay? What I don't understand is that there really wasn't that much of a fight to get up to that stick. There wasn't, a lot of tussling and everything outside of the ring trying to get to it, or in the ring trying to get to it. There was more tugging and pulling in the tag team match trying to prevent people from escaping the cage than there was in this match trying to keep the person from getting the damn stick. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I don't get. That match could have been a lot longer, but the inevitable end involving the stick would be just as long as what we saw in the match at all. Okay, there should have been a lot more in this match than what we saw, and so that just leads me to believe that something else was in the mix.
Something's wrong, maybe.
Something's wrong.
Do you? I saw Goose and some people. I don't know if they're joking or not, but some people are saying it's they've screwed up Bayley on the roster. I'm not sure if I want to go there yet because it's kind of been. It's still a little. I wouldn't say it's super fresh with her, but. I don't want to. I just feel like people are so they set expectations so high with the girls that were so successful in NXT. So then when those same results don't happen on the main roster, it's deemed a failure. But I also feel like, well, yeah, that was just a small portion of their career. This is the bigger picture, where they're going to get many, many years out of them, not just a year run or year and a half run or whatever it is they get in NXT. Sometimes longer than that. But I just don't want to start using the failure word. So just yet.
No, it's not a failure. I mean, God, what were we expecting? I mean, what exactly was everyone expecting when Bayley came into the main roster? I mean, she wasn't exactly, a brutal force in NXT. Okay. I mean, she wasn't dominant. She had great stories. She had great matches, and the problem is now that she gets to the main roster, those great matches and great stories that she had in NXT, she's going against those same people that are on the main roster, and you can't necessarily recreate those. You have to make your own. You have to make it a little more organic. And that's what's really difficult right now. Not just for her on the microphone and being nervous in some matches and her delivery and promos being, it's just more about you can't create something organic when everyone has already got this preconceived notion of what she's supposed to do. And I'm not just saying, be a champion. I'm saying what the storylines should be and who they should be against. She's already done them. They're not going to be authentic. They're not going to be original. So what do you do? And the thing is, with her against Alexa Bliss, this is as organic as it's ever been for her. This is an actual new storyline and new rivalry that they can have in this progression of her character. I have absolutely no problem with how she's been treated on the main roster, nor do I have a problem how this match ended up. It was not a very good match, but I can understand why this is essential to her character. This is going to be great development for her as a character, I think. Does it matter that, some people would be worrying that it knocks her down a few rungs in this fantasy sports playoff system that we have? I mean, I think she's what now, like 2 games out of the wild card, with how everyone's going to be thinking this is sports oriented and she's not going to be going for a title soon anymore.
Maybe.
Just stop it. This is about character development. Okay. This is what it's about. This is character development.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing right now. She is no longer the childlike wonder. The child just got beat up. Okay. Mm-hmm. How does the child react after getting beat up so brutally? Okay?
So that would be the story. Okay.
That's going to be the story. Okay. That's what's going to be really interesting to see. And it should not involve a title at all. It shouldn't even involve Alexa Bliss. It should just involve her and her own little internal dialogue trying to get back on her horse. That's something that she did in NXT. That's something she can do here. And they'll be with people that she didn't normally go against in NXT. This can be organic. Okay. And this will actually feel good and lead into possibly a Bayley title win way down the line. Mm-hmm. And I mean way down the line to make it viable.
Well, I was about to ask you if we wanted to. Generally, what we've been doing on these pay-per-view shows is we mention 1 or 2 things we like, and then we kind of force feed in the rest with some hot takes. But we pretty much talked about everything. I mean, we pretty much
did.
There's a lot of
maybe the entire pay-per-view.
I guess I should say, if anybody has any hot takes in the YouTube chat, by all means, you can start firing off your hot takes. But I don't know, like it just here. I'll play the music just for the hell of it.
Yeah, just kick off the music. It's great music.
It's good music. So I did not think Miz and Ambrose was that great. I know everyone just really liked it. I just I guess I'm sick of Miz and Ambrose working together. I'll be honest with you.
I think that I can totally get that.
I'm just done.
It's time to lay.
Yeah, I'm over it. Goose in the chat said the Hardy Nostalgia Act has died. Do you think it's dead? Is it over?
No. I mean, the Hardy Act is not dead. I mean, I don't think it is. By any stretch. I mean, they narrowly lost tonight.
Well, I think because people have wanted the broken
delete
Hardys.
Shit. They want the broken shit. They want the delete shit. They want all that stupid shit. That ain't gonna happen.
It hasn't, and I don't. And it, it's just. Let's move on. Like, I liked it too, but you can't keep sitting here hoping that happens on TV. So
I remember. Get over it.
Yeah, it's
over. Stop it. Okay.
More hot takes coming in here, Douglas. Let's see. Grash said Nakamura should have stayed in NXT. He can't talk well. He's Japanese, and he did not speak English before he came to America, so it's understandable. Let's give him some time. I mean,
yeah. Let's give the guy the guy a little bit of slack.
If you decided,
maybe if he took the mouth guard out, when he spoke,
maybe that would help. Maybe. I just find that funny. It's like, what if you were a wrestler and you went to another country and they said, okay, Doug, we need you to start cutting promos in German. You'd be like, and you'd probably have some trouble with that as well.
Schnitzel?
It's just, I don't know. Give them a break. People are so mean.
Just cut him some slack. Come on.
Frank says, hot take, Reigns-Miz will feud. The Reigns-Miz feud will be a good rivalry in the summer for the Intercontinental Championship. So he thinks Roman's going to start going for the IC title. Interesting.
No. They won't.
He did point out he had a typo, even though I screwed it up. Daniel says, hot take, should we give Finn a heel turn? No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Absolutely
Stop
not.
it.
Brian Farmer, our friend Brian Farmer, hot take, Miz is ready for a main event push, which is interesting because I remember at one point, I thought Brian Farmer was not a Miz guy, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I don't know. But there was a lot of people when Miz first got that Money in the Bank cash in. There was a lot of people like, "Oh Jesus, we're doing the Miz? Are you serious?" And maybe I got that wrong.
Him being on MTV.
Maybe I got that one wrong, Mr. Farmer. So, Bronxy says, "Does Miz surpass Honky Tonk Man in terms of title reigns or length?" Because Honky Tonk Man was just more of a how long he held the title for. Because there was the Honkometer with Santino, which I loved.
Yeah,
that was beautiful. Shiftygasm said the dude that kisses Cena in the American Grid ad looks like Cody Rhodes so much. Yeah, I did think that was Cody Rhodes too. I don't know if you saw that.
I
promo.
thought it was too.
Looked like
I don't know. Maybe they found a doppelganger or something.
Maybe they did.
I don't.
Do you have any hot takes, Doug, about the show tonight?
My hot takes, man. I just like how kind of I said with WrestleMania, these intros for all of these performers are really starting to wear on me. These intros are really long.
With the entrances or the
entrances in general.
Okay.
They are very long. Especially this fatal 5-way thing that they had. I mean, they're just way long. They're way drawn out. You know, I think that's one reason why sometimes the SmackDown pay-per-views are better, isn't that? Their entrances are not as so long and drawn out.
This
you know,
to the ring and...
this Money in the Bank match they're going to have involving the 6 people. Okay, I don't think any of their entrances are as long as Finn Balor's.
It's possible.
I don't think any of them are. Okay, you got to keep the action going. You got to keep the pace going. Okay. And all of these entrances just really drag it down.
Farmers said they got 3 hours to fill, Doug. What do you expect? They got to fill it up. They got to do it. It's true, though. They have a lot of TV to fill. A lot of TV time.
I want to fill it up. I mean, dear God, show me R-Truth and Gold Dust. I want to see this match.
I know you're really up on this.
Am I not the only one that wants to see this? Please.
I don't really
seriously.
care. I'm not a fan. I wish I had the footage of... You might appreciate entrances more if you were... I think there was a Raw taping like 2 or 3 weeks ago where they were trying to tape the ropes for a cruiserweight match, and Austin, or it was Neville. He was literally walking to the ring, and that someone was filming out in the crowd, and there were still people in the ring taping the ropes. So he was trying to like take his time, and then he had to turn left so that the cameras would not catch. And like literally with like a half a second, everybody bailed out of the ring, and then he got inside the ring and it was ready to go. But that was also their fault because they like to make the ropes purple and stupid for the cruiserweight matches, and they don't really have to do that. But I was impressed with the production.
I don't. Yeah, that's my problem with all of this, is that there's way too much time being wasted on the preparing for something.
Too much.
You know, it's way too much.
Too much.
You know?
All right. Well, I'm going to get the final tally here for at least the poll that we have on at Wrestleview.
And the Miz is absolutely ready for main event. He is absolutely ready.
He's fine. I enjoy him.
Yes.
Let's go to the poll here, Douglas. 40% thumbs in the middle, 32% thumbs up, 28 down. I was a thumbs in the middle vote, in case you're wondering.
I don't believe in thumbs in the middle.
I do.
That's called a push.
No,
it's either yes or no.
Well, yeah, but that's also very vague as well, because what if there was 2 things? Okay, so for instance, on the show tonight, I liked the main event and I liked Neville and Austin Aries. Didn't really like the rest of it. So if I gave it a thumbs down based on the rest of the show being a majority that I didn't like, that wouldn't be very fair. How dare you?
No, I think I equate this to this match, this show that just happened. Will I go back on the WWE network within the next 3 or 6 months and queue up the show to watch one particular match?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
then
not.
Thumbs down. Okay.
Well, that's a pretty
harsh way. If you feel
way
that there was nothing worthwhile on this show to make you want to go 6 months from now going, man, I'm trying to remember what happened on that damn Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Oh, now I remember. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm not going back and watching this. But
no one's going to go back and watch this.
But I don't really go back and watch pay-per-views, though. Do you? I mean,
Sometimes I do. I mean, especially when it comes to when a pay-per-view is coming up and, and there's a big match in it or whatnot, and they keep alluding to that they've been at it before or how long it's been going on. Like, well, okay, I want to see how did this all start, They're placing emphasis and importance on certain time periods, This match, no, this show, screw that. Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing on the show. I mean, it was something to do on a Sunday night, but yeah, there's nothing I'd want to go back and watch. Before we get out of here, I was going to say I was furiously texting you, but I was saying, well, Doug, this has been popping up and this has been popping up. I have one more caveat to add. It's a very silly story, so I don't know if you want to start silly or if you want to go into what
It's not. No, it's not silly. It's worth great discussion.
Well, I also have another silly story to cover with you, which I didn't tell you about, so I thought I would surprise you.
Okay, so we can have serious and silly. I like this.
So you get to pick. Do we start silly or do we do somewhat Keithy serious here? It's not really serious. It's an interesting topic that's been coming up.
Oh, whatever the hell it is, just talk about it.
Okay, so I will start with silly.
Okay.
So apparently Dolph Ziggler is a fuckboy. Do you know what a fuckboy is?
Fuckboys are really interesting.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what a fuckboy is, it's basically somebody who likes and obviously gets to have sex with girls, but has no interest in being serious. Some of these guys can be douchey. There's a lot of interesting things. Crash is asking me if I'm serious. The reason I bring this up though is because this girl who, again, I have to be careful how I say this because I'm talking into a microphone with a webcam on as we're on YouTube. But there are people that are YouTube famous for just recording themselves talking about their lives. We're at least coming here, Doug, and saying we're going to talk about Extreme Rules, and we know we're talking to wrestling fans, and we're on the front page of Wrestleview, but we're not like YouTube like when I told you that there was like YouTube convention wrestling YouTube people at like WrestleMania weekend that were doing like panels and people were buying tickets. I was like, stop it, shut up. Shifty Gism goes, fuckboy, wasn't he part of Raven's flock in ECW? So there's this girl, I don't know her name. Her YouTube is Blind Sun Doll 4M. I have no idea who this person is. Never heard of her before in my entire life. But she posted a video on YouTube about how she got stood up by Dolph Ziggler because he was flying into town, and she provided all these details. But I have to let everyone take a glimpse of this individual because she decides, Doug, because she gets mad that Dolph turns her down, which if you watch the full 11-minute video, the name of the video is I Was Stood Up Tonight, Another Celebrity Fuckboy Exposed, which she's talking about Dolph Ziggler.
Another one, like this is an epidemic that she has been going through.
She's doing investigative reporting here, but I just can't understand why someone would make a video of this. So here's this creature. I don't know what her name is, but she gets mad because Ziggles turned her down. So I have a little clip here, and she goes after wrestling fans, so I thought people would want to hear this. I'll play a little clip of it here.
But now I turned down a really good guy that I was seeing.
Can you hear this, Doug, by the way? I forgot. Sometimes you can't hear audio.
No, I'm queuing it up on my end here on my phone to see what you're talking about.
Okay. It's 10 minutes and 25 seconds in on the video.
I'm not going to cry. Because now I'm a fuck girl.
This is ridiculous. Just watch, though.
I fucking hate guys. I am so done with it. I am so done with trying. By the way, for all you wrestling fans, and for anyone who's going to like hate on me, wrestling's fucking fake. This man is a 37-year-old man, not a god, who's fucking leaving wrestling soon anyways. And that's it. So, anyways.
That's it. There's not much else to it, but I just, this woman recorded a almost 12-minute video about how Dolph stood her up, and just a scary-looking girl, but there's a lot of these.
God, you dump a bucket of water on her, you'll find Jimmy Hoffa. Jesus Christ.
I'm struggling to understand why this is a thing on YouTube, but it's very popular. And again, we're like
YouTube diaries and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we're a little late to the
memoirs or something.
We're a little late to the party with YouTube. I mean, we did some stuff back in the day, but we're not like, I'm not going, this has been my day. Like, I'm not doing like a video diary of me watching Extreme Rules and then doing a show. It's just like, we're coming here to hang out and talk. But I just cannot believe the length some people will go. Like, if the person's famous that they're with. And I'm sure, now that I saw this, I can understand why Dolph, did the old dip on her, but I just could not believe that someone did a 12-minute video about Dolph Ziggler standing them up. And then she did the cliche, well, wrestling fans, well, of course we know it's not real, but I just love that's like the jilted go-to pro wrestling fan attack it's just very, very strange. And I had to talk about it briefly because
I'm more shocked that someone did 12 minutes on YouTube about Dolph Ziggler. I don't care about what the topic is.
Well, the thing is, like,
why?
This video,
I guess that's the one thing. And why him? You could have picked anyone else. Why him?
She wanted attention.
You know?
She gets a lot of views though. Like, I'm sitting here talking shit about her. She has almost 400,000 views on this video alone. So I'm sure she gets like millions and millions and millions of clicks on YouTube. But I just don't understand why someone would record a video about this. But some people really put their life out there on the internet, and
because they can't get a job.
That's too. Why. She could be making a lot of money. I don't know. That could actually lead to our next story, maybe.
Well, she better be making a lot of money with all the shit she puts on her face. She better be making a lot of money.
Did you get a chance to look at the link I sent you about the What Culture Pro Wrestling thing?
Yeah, I did see that.
So Doug made a good point to me about this. If you didn't see the story on Wrestleview, they have now deemed pro wrestling content inappropriate content for monetization and advertising on YouTube. So if you are a wrestling promotion like them, they said they were putting up a match between Alberto Del Rio and Rey Mysterio that normally would make a couple $1,000s, and it only made like $40. So they were like, well, what's going on? And they found out that YouTube is now classifying it as inappropriate content, but they're putting it in the category of hate speech. So like if you see, political commentators generally is what it's going to be, or just someone in general that is a personality on YouTube, if they deem that what they're saying on the video to be hate speech, they're then preventing that person from profiting off that video, essentially, from putting it on their platform. Mm-hmm. But you also made a good point to me, is like, well, what about backyard wrestling? And that totally makes sense. They don't want to, have, 13, 14-year-olds, trying to paralyze themselves and make money off that. But that was also the case up until now. So it's a little strange that the hate speech stuff then coincided with pro wrestling. It was a weird connection, but I did see your point there though. So it was a little weird.
I think that's the argument they would like to make in this day and age, to say that some of it is hate speech and, saying that 3 or 4 people just don't like what they're seeing and they can report it and immediately it's taken off. I can totally see how in this day and age that would fly. But I believe the real reason is that YouTube is right now trying really, really hard to cut back on how much violence is shown on their platform. And I'm not just talking, of course, with pro wrestling and the wacky stuff that the kids in backyards or CZW or Japanese death matches. I'm talking about really horrible stuff, okay? Like ISIS videos and beheadings and executions and stuff like that. That's the stuff that YouTube is trying to curtail. And they are going to find every avenue to curtail any forms of violence that they are showing. And pro wrestling has its times of violence, okay? Not to the lengths that I'm saying that how dire and horrible some things are that you can see on YouTube, but they can be just as shocking, okay? So that does not shock me that that's the decision that they've made. And now that means that companies who are wanting to profit on YouTube now need to know how to reclassify themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now that YouTube has said that, professional wrestling, hey, if we want to get rid of violence on our platform, these are the top tiers and the top titles of all the videos that we see that have violence that has been reported, and professional wrestling was one of them. Mm-hmm. So you eliminate the label, you've eliminated the problem. Okay, it's now time for the promotions that want to promote themselves. What are you going to call yourselves on YouTube if you're not professional wrestling? Dare say you're entertainment? Try it. It's something that some companies have been doing for 70 years and have made a profit. Try it.
So do you think that
might work?
They could get away with saying this is entertainment, but it's a pro wrestling match, but they just don't classify it and tag it as
pro or wrestling in it. You cannot put those words in there. Which is
a problem with the name of that promotion, because they're literally called What Culture Pro Wrestling. So you're going to have to,
so you're pretty much screwed.
I also have to, I'm not trying to push back a little bit, but the video clip that we put on Wrestleview today encourages people to sign a petition. And I get what they're doing. They were basically saying we are not hate speech because wrestling brings people from all walks of life together, which is definitely true, and I agree with. But I also think they're using the fact that they're tied in with hate speech to try to drum up that sentiment a little bit. So by no means do I think that their video content is in the same classification of someone that goes on YouTube as a personality and just starts, saying crazy shit to try to get attention. But they definitely tried to play the woe is me card a little bit in the promo. But like you said, though, you could, there's ways to get around it. There's ways to distribute content. You shouldn't yes, YouTube is the most popular video platform on the planet, but
it is the cheapest.
It's the cheapest. And just because that platform took that away from you, there's other ways. And I again, this is a struggle we've experienced on Wrestleview and still do to this day is, battling people with pop-up blockers or because a lot of people have that pre-installed. Google Chrome is about to roll out an update with one already installed to it and hampering which ads we can do through Google now. So there's going to be obstacles that get thrown your way. And honestly, that is the biggest obstacle for a lot of people that run websites today that need that revenue to then pay for bandwidth and help pay the staff but people figure out a way. There's some sites like Forbes that literally say you can't come to our website, Doug, unless you turn your pop-up blocker off. If we did that on Wrestleview, there would be a giant revolt. People would just say, well, I'm just going to go to other wrestling sites then that let me use mine. But in a perfect world, no one would have a pop-up blocker and we'd be making more money, but that's just not the case these days. So there's things, like you said, people can do to deviate.
Try to find other ways to get people to see your stuff.
Yeah.
Just try to find them. There are ways of doing it. Try thinking of different descriptors, find different avenues, for God's sake, cross promote, do something, don't rely on your cheapest method the entire time. It will do you in. Yes, Forbes's website has it on there that, if you've got an ad blocker, don't come on our website. But you know what? There are some websites that don't do that and still get more clicks than Forbes does. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Just find ways to advertise. Find ways to do it. You can do it. It's possible. Okay. And I'm not going to tell them how because that's their job.
Exactly. That's none of their damn business. Do you want to, Keithy, before we get out of here, the possible...
Oh, I'm ready for... Oh, I gotta really Keithy some of this.
Okay, so I'll set this up. So I read this article. I read two, actually. There was an article by Dave Scherer on PWInsider.com, and there was also an article that Dave Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer newsletter this past week. And basically, to sum it up, people have been examining the sudden drastic drop in television ratings for Raw in the last year. They're down like 20, 30, 35% or whatever it is. Granted, last Monday was Memorial Day. Ratings are down, but they were down a lot more than they were last year on the same holiday. So there's some concern. And with that concern comes, about, 2 years from now, Doug, 2019, I think it is.
Yes.
There's going to be a contract renewal situation going on with WWE and NBC Universal, who owns the USA Network, Sci-Fi, a bunch of other networks. At the time, Vince McMahon publicly said, or George Barrios or somebody said, we will increase those rights fees and we are DVR proof and things like that. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case so much with WWE programming. Obviously, you can get the content on YouTube. You can get the show on Hulu if you are a subscriber to that. You can see clips on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, basically. So there's this situation where the ratings are down. I did see people fight back, especially Dave Meltzer this week, saying, well, you can't use cord cutting as an excuse because network news on cable is up like 30, 40%. But that's also the climate we're in now because there's so much going on with politics right now. Of course, network news is going to be skyrocketing in terms of coverage. It's done a complete 180 from Fox News dominating to MSNBC now being the dominant one. So there's been a giant shift in that world. So you can't really compare the two. I've always pointed out that despite these drops, and I've watched this every single week, Raw continues to be in the top 50 shows on cable every single week. But yes, there's been a dramatic drop in viewers. You can also say, the show just kind of fucking stinks right now. I don't think you'd disagree with that. It's not the most compelling television show. It's by no means anywhere near the level it was when we used to show up every Monday night for Wrestleview and recap the show with Hunter. It's just not the same anymore.
Yeah.
But there's this other argument. I had you look at it. Both articles saying that they could be in trouble in 2 years from now if the ratings continue to dip. We don't know that. That's an assumption. Maybe they go back up a year from now. But the assumption is they've been on a decline. That's going to continue, which then makes the renewal process with NBC 2 years from now hard. So I had you look at it, Doug, because I thought you'd be interested in that. What was your takeaway of, is it doom and gloom? Should they be concerned? Did they set themselves up saying that, we're gonna be DVR proof but that's not happening? What was your takeaway from it?
My takeaway from all of this is that people who have wrestling newsletters know nothing about television. They know nothing of TV ratings, contracts, programming, or anything like that. They do not understand what kind of situation they're trying to brew up that there really is not. There is no problem here. There is no doom and gloom. This is business as usual. Okay? There's nothing to worry about. Here, I want to put you in the desk of NBC Universal, okay? I'm going to come at you with some numbers, and I'm going to ask you if you would like to re-sign this, okay? This is a program that you have had on your networks, NBC Universal, cable, and otherwise. In 2016, your viewership went down 34% compared to last year's show. Are you going to keep this program? Are you going to run it again next year? Because if you say no, then you want to cancel the Video Music Awards.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably wouldn't say no, but you would want to find out. Well, I guess there's also the caveat is, what does that do to our, especially USA? What does that do to that network when you then suck that percentage of viewers away? Now, granted, it's not a very advertiser-friendly show. That is the one thing I did see the most in both articles, was that you could get more advertising off a show that gets half the amount of viewers that Raw gets or SmackDown gets. But they also like to say we're the number one or number two or top 5 networks every year, every quarter, whatever they do. So you don't want to lose that. You don't want to all of a sudden have that dry up, because then you have more pressure to deliver and have more content and more shows.
If we're talking about the percentage lost when it comes to viewership, holy crap, do we need to talk about the NFL? Really?
They're down
because
too.
NFL viewership ratings went down 9%.
Yeah. That is
a chunk. That is a large chunk. And I'm talking 9% down throughout the entire regular season, comparing the previous season we just had to the one before. Okay? 9%. That is tremendous. The viewership that has dropped between the past Olympics that we had is down, if I'm looking at these numbers here, is down 17%. Okay, this is all from Business Insider. Okay? I'm sorry, but any arguments that they are saying about viewership going down and this spells doom and gloom for the WWE, shut up. It's going down everywhere, all across the board, with programs that cost way more than the WWE does. Okay? If there's anything that you should be worrying about when it comes to professional wrestling, is just how is the WWE going to continue to make themselves money? Mm-hmm. And not just have money brought in for the networks in terms of advertising. Okay. Right now, the WWE, they have been doing it, is putting advertising on the WWE network.
Yep.
It's going to keep on going, and it's going to be hitting a fevered pitch soon. Mm-hmm. And sooner or later, and I see it happening probably around about the time that contracts are going to be negotiated, and they're going to be re-signed. They're going to be re-signed with NBC Universal. This is something. And I'm not saying this to guarantee it, but I'm just saying it's a no-brainer for both entities, especially NBC Universal. What they got there, the number that you mentioned of how much was spent for the WWE, the rights for this, is chump change compared to how much they lost from the NFL and their ratings going down. It's chump change. The amount of money that was lost from ratings lost from the WWE's programming is nothing compared to what they've lost by other programming that they've had.
And who's to say, and I guess the other question too was, as I was reading this, 2 years from now, does the network subscribers go? I mean, I know they've wanted to hit this 3 million, subscriber limit for a while. That's probably not going to happen. But hypothetically, let's say they get to
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, let's say 2.5.
2.25, 2.5.
If you have an option to then say, well, we're gonna put Raw on the network and we'll offer a secondary subscription offer where you get pay-per-views, Raw, SmackDown. So maybe that you pay $14.99 a month or $20 a month versus the 10. But at the same time, though, they're generating a cash revenue from USA and the NBC Universal paying them to do these TV tapings all across the country every year. So where do you get that much? I mean, because the network's not going to make that much up different. I mean, maybe it does if you add this new, but that's a gamble though. So it
is a tremendous gamble.
It's a tremendous gamble. So I see both sides of the argument. One argument saying, well, maybe they do need to be a little concerned because maybe NBC won't be as lenient as they have been. There could be, Bonnie Hammer, I think she was mentioned in one of those articles. She's been a huge supporter of Vince McMahon and WWE programming in that company. But if you lose someone like that, maybe they say 2 years from now, Doug, they get rid of her. They decided to change, the whole philosophy. Basically what they're painting for people that didn't read these articles is very doom and gloom, is that if WWE was to lose television, that would be a giant chunk of their revenue immediately gone, and they would have to figure out a way to bring that back, which would be it would be an uphill battle. But I don't necessarily think the company just goes bankrupt immediately and they go out of business.
No, not at all. But at the same time, they've been preparing for that. They've been preparing for that for the past 10 years. That's why they developed this network. That's why one of their number one goals ever since coming back to NBC Universal and the USA Network after leaving TNN and Spike TV way back when, their number one goal was to get ad revenue for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That was their number one goal, was to get advertising dollars. Okay. All of the advertising that you're seeing on Raw and SmackDown programming for the horrible fried chicken or Taco Bell or the next video game and everything, all of that those ad dollars, a large percentage of it is going to the networks. WWE does not see any of it, hardly any of it. Okay. The only advertising that they get is sponsors for their own pay-per-views. Okay, so whenever you're watching a pay-per-view and you see something that's sponsored by Snickers,
or a Kickstart,
that's something to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a high dollar sponsor. They're getting a good amount of money for that. Sponsored by Mountain Dew, that's a really good sponsor. Okay, but when they see sponsored by WWE 2K17, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh boy, not good. Oh boy. So but their number one goal is to get their own ad revenue. They've been planning on this for the past 10 to 15 years. Okay. That time is going to come to where they will not be on television. Is it happening in 2 years? Probably not. Okay. That's way too soon. It's going to happen. Okay. Will they have it to where you watch their programming on their own network? Of course. That's their number one goal.
And this is one of the first things I think we talked about when the network debuted was, what could they get television? And at the time it was no. I mean, yes, you do get archives of Raw, but I think like the shows from the 1st of May are just now hitting the networks. You can't get up-to-date ones because of the contracts they have with, NBC and Hulu and all these things. Mm-hmm. But it's an interesting concept. Brian Farmer says if this happens, they go the way of WCW, because I don't necessarily agree with that. At the time, your only option was television, and as soon as those rights were gone with AOL Time Warner, then the WCW entity was not worth very much. But now that the WWE has established this network, they're generating a revenue off that network from subscribers. They could potentially, if they had to, as a latch-ditch effort, push the television programming to the network. Not going to make as much money, and maybe they won't be running as many shows. That's the other problem too, is they're probably not going to be doing, how many shows a year is there outside of I guess they haven't really been doing too many. Usually like around holiday times, they would do like a highlight show.
They'll do a pre-taped holiday show or a pre-taped show of some kind. But the big thing is, we're only talking American television here.
True.
Okay, they can have plenty of television contracts in UK, Germany, India. It's not like they don't have the people on their own network speaking their language right now.
Yeah.
Okay, they can sign contracts all across the world.
Yep.
And have television contracts going over there. But somehow the American ones are saying, no, we can do fine without it. WWE go, okay, that's fine. We've got our own network. We can stream the shows. That's not a problem. We're still getting the ticket. We're still getting ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're still getting the gates. We're still going to have TV contracts going across the world. It's not that much of a hit. But again, this is something they have been planning. Okay. But to say that it's going to happen in 2 years, that's way too soon. I do not see that happening because, again, if that were the case, then by God, NBC should be, holy crap, what do we do about the NFL? What do we do about the Emmys? What do we do about the Golden Globes? Because those are contracts that we've had for God knows how long. I really think this article really came about, not just it's doom and gloom stuff. And I really think for two reasons this article came out. Number one, I really felt like a lot of the people who make these newsletters wanted to go, hey, I wonder what would happen if WWE was on a different network. So how do we spin this discussion? That's what that kind of sounds like to me. But number two, I think it also was, I think a lot of these people also were fans of the Westminster Kennel Club dog show. And then they turn on to USA and go, wait, where's my dogs? Where's my dog show? Why is it on Fox?
Well, I also think...
Why is it on Fox? Because they didn't renew the contract.
Well, they also...
And it's always been on USA for so long.
These are also the same people...
went down.
Well, and that's the one thing we've been competing with for many years is, you know, people comparing television ratings from 2001 to 2017. And it's a little silly, but I by no means am I saying the television rating decline for Raw is irrelevant, because it is. I mean, it would be concerning. It should be concerning to them. But to measure all the success off that, I mean, I know that people have pinpointed the actual revenue figure and said, well, and again, I agree, you lose that figure, it's going to hurt you and you're going to have to make some cuts. And I know that there was one comparison to ESPN in one of the articles about how ESPN has had to make a gang of cuts because of, you know, cord. But the thing is, they've had to make those cuts because of cord cutting. So we get that that's the reason why they're doing that. So why does that not apply to the WWE if they end up out? And it just doesn't. It's a little strange that cord cutting doesn't.
WWE is not a network.
I know cord cutting doesn't apply to WWE, but it does to ESPN in this case. So, but we can't say that. It's just a weird. I don't know. It's a strange argument. So, I just feel like we're getting a little close. Is it a possibility? Maybe, but we don't know. It's 2 years from now. Maybe a year out, 6 months out, we'll start to see maybe some inklings of some possible problems. But I tend to be on the side of where you were at with this, Doug, of just kind of like, well, yeah, it's a thing, it's dropping, but look at the NFL, look at, you know, all these other sports, and it's kind of down. It's down. I mean, look at if you don't believe us, if you think we're talking shit and we're blowing smoke up your ass, go to showbuzzdaily.com, bring up any daily cable rating viewership for a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday. Look at the outside of like a big sporting event, outside of like a big Monday Night Football or a big NBA Finals game.
Look for a week.
Yeah.
Just spanning an entire week. Just look at any random week.
But just, you know what, Doug, let's do it right now. Let's do pick
a random week.
Okay, I'll pick a random week. So there's
2016.
All right. So let me dial this up, because as we're talking about it, of course the website, there it goes. Okay. So there's a multitude of different options here. So let's go to daily. So there's TV ratings and there's daily ratings reports.
Sure.
Let's do Thursday as an example. This past Thursday. Yeah. So your top shows on cable was the NBA pregame show, which did they order these by 18 to 49, which is the coveted demographic for advertising. Yeah. So that was the number one show, but that did a little over 1 million viewers. Tucker Carlson on Fox News was number 4 for the night. He did close to 3 million viewers, but he only did a 0.33 in people 18 to 49. House Hunters International, 1.4 million. The Daily Show, 953,000, not quite a million. Aaron Burnett on CNN, 1.1 million. Flipper Flop Vegas on the Home Network, 1.4 million. Look at this. So you're seeing these figures. Sean Hannity did close to 2.7 million on Fox News. Fox News again, 2.5 million. But look at that though. You're not seeing 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million. I mean, you're not seeing these gangbuster numbers. So it's just
now now bring up the Monday.
Bring up the Monday. Okay, I'll get the Monday.
Yeah, now bring up the Monday, because I mean, if we're comparing to on a non-wrestling day, and that's regular TV viewing.
Let's do this past Monday, which by the way was a Memorial Day. Everyone's staring at my bookmarks. I'm not JBL. I don't have porn up on my bookmarks. Everybody.
That's why we use Adam's and not mine.
That's why we use Let's see. So they do show networks. The Bachelorette did 5.6 million, but that's network though.
That's network.
I generally don't compare those. So let's look at Street Outlaws. Don't even know what that is, on Discovery Channel. Did 2.5 million viewers. It was the number one show on cable last Monday. But look at Raw, number 2, number 3, number 4. I mean, there's again Loud House on is that Nickelodeon? Don't even know what that is. 2 million viewers. I mean, look at that. There's just, outside of Raw and Street Outlaws, and if there happens to be like a sporting event, it's just not a lot going on. So this idea that WWE is this show that is I don't know. I think people want to freak out about this, and they've wanted to freak out about it for a while now, and it's just, I don't know.
They just miss having the debates of way back when there was a war of some kind, and the ratings were the deciding factor between a winner and a loser. Mm-hmm. Well, these people still want to have these debates about a winner and a loser using the television ratings. Still trying to use something that I'm not going to argue again for Lord knows how many times that I've said it, that it's archaic and is irrelevant and is also sample biased. But we're still going to talk about it. It's still going to be talked about. But God, you can't compare it to what it is now, because every show is having this problem.
And to me, and I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but to me, a good measure of failure would be television ratings declining, attendance declining, network subscribers going down.
Attendance declining is the big one.
That's a big one. If merchandise also went down, if licensing dried up, that's when you start to go, oh no, something's going on here. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and they release these figures publicly every quarter, Doug. So if you want to dig deep into these figures and break these down, you can. That's a whole other show in itself, but I'm just not ready to jump on the doom and gloom train that a lot of these, that Meltzer and Dave Scher and a lot of these guys just kind of. Now, I don't think so much that the Dave Scher article was doing that, but it was kind of. They're also in that camp though of comparing the television ratings from 2017 to 2001 and 2, and I find that silly, but.
Well, they're just in that camp. They just miss that debate.
I think
they
so
miss
too.
it.
I think so too. Is what it is. So, I knew that if I passed that along to Doug, he would want to dive deep into that.
Have a conniption.
Yeah. Well, there's numbers, so you like the numbers. So
I love the numbers.
Always the good stuff.
Honey, you know exactly what
I just do these days. It's so good. I'm looking at the calendar again. 2 weeks from tonight is the Money in the Bank pay-per-view from SmackDown. There's a women's Money in the Bank match, Douglas.
So do they call that they call that a Money in the Purse? Is that a purse that they're going for?
Sexist. How dare you? You say this as Wonder Woman hits the box office this weekend, Doug, and does huge
But I'm
business.
so inspired by Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Bailey was inspired by Wonder Woman.
Because you know what that showed me? Wonder Woman is a shitty movie.
Actually, I saw it today. It wasn't that bad. It was a lot better than Batman vs. Superman, but I was impressed. It was pleasantly good.
There's a really funny little comic that I saw of there's Superman and Wonder Woman, and they're blocking bullets, and Superman is flexed up chest, bullets bouncing off, and Wonder Woman is doing this thing with her bracelets. And Superman's like, but why are you using your bracelets? Can't they just bounce off of you anyway? So she puts them down. The bullets are flying off, but her tits are jiggling also. And in the background, you see tee-hee, 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 and Superman goes, oh, okay.
Tee-hee.
I get it.
Yeah, that would angry some, you get some angry Twitter comments from angry feminists that don't shave their pits and dye their hair different colors. And yeah, Frank just said, I'm triggered. I'm triggered, Doug. Doug just triggered all the feminists on the internet.
Oh no, what are we going to do?
I know. It's hilarious. But
I'm just going to turn off my computer. That's what
I'm just going to turn my computer off and keep living my life. So 2 weeks from tonight is Money in the Bank. So they're doing a first ever women's Money in the Bank, and then they're doing.
I so want that to be a purse, though. I don't care.
Want it to be a purse.
I don't care. I want it to be something. Oh,
and then they're
God.
doing
If
what
it's
it is.
pink, that's even worse. If it's a pink briefcase, that's even worse.
Do you know how angry that would make people if they make the briefcase
Oh,
pink?
God, I can't wait.
They would make
whatever
so
the
many
hell
people-
they do. People are going to get angry.
Like, well, yeah, it's gonna. People love to get angry these days, so it doesn't really matter.
If they make it the same color as the original briefcase, what if they get them confused?
They could.
No, I mean, you get where I'm going with this.
I do,
Like,
I
what
do.
if Tamina was to grab the Money in the Bank briefcase, but it looks exactly like the one that the guys are going for, and then suddenly Tamina cashes in, but it's on the wrong person.
Yes.
You know, you kind of see where I'm going with this. I'm
do.
just being stupid. What can I say?
El Rocco. So what if they put rhinestones on it? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, a bedazzled,
A
Money in the Bank?
bedazzled briefcase.
Bedazzled
Yeah.
Money in the Bank
Yeah, people are
briefcase?
gonna get mad at
Something
Money
on
in the
Pinterest. WWE needs to start a Pinterest account on
Pinterest.
how to decorate the
Pinterest.
Money in the Bank suitcase for women.
Everyone's gonna get mad, so they're doing that 2 weeks from tonight. So
Trigger,
we'll be
trigger.
breaking that down, and then 2 weeks after that is Impact Wrestling's 15th anniversary of Slammiversary, which we're probably not gonna do a podcast for because I don't think anybody wants to talk about it, but.
With the salad steel cage.
The salad steel cage. Do you think I could play that without getting?
Oh, you can absolutely play
It's quick, right?
It is quick.
Let me
It's
see
only
if I
7
can.
seconds.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I posted it on the
Salad steel cage.
salad steel cage. If this was Bruce Pritchard trying to say solid steel cage, but
Salad.
it was a salad. Let's see if I can get it going here. Let's see. I got to bring up the audio. Hopefully, I don't get pulled off YouTube for this, but we'll play it.
Why don't we do
Salad
this
steel
inside
cage.
of a salad steel
Hopefully.
cage?
You probably can't hear it on your end, but I found it.
Nah,
He did it was a salad steel cage.
Salad steel cage. It's like his brain was saying one thing, but his mouth was like, "But no, we can think of a better word."
Got excited.
Salad steel cage.
Got very excited. So what I'm trying to say, Doug, is we'll be here 2 weeks from tonight, possibly with a briefcase with rhinestones on it, and then another one. So, and I asked a question last
With
week
lace and frills.
this is going to be for the WWE Championship only, it seems like. So the Universal Championship is just not in Money in the Bank territory anymore, apparently.
No, it isn't. This is a SmackDown.
Yeah,
only.
it's a SmackDown only.
And then it'll be a Raw only thing next year. So there you go.
Yeah, then they'll mix it up and they'll have fun with it. So, okay. So we'll be here 2 weeks from tonight. There will not be a salad steel cage. It will just be a ladder with a briefcase, possibly a purse hanging above the ring. Doug would love that.
It's a nice little handbag right there. Maybe it'd be one of those reusable grocery bags or something.
Could be.
You know?
Yeah. Got to think about the climate these days.
Well, yeah.
Make
We got to be good to the earth.
Got to trigger. Well, we might have just triggered people saying that. Oh, you don't know anything about the climate. I've read a couple articles on the internet. I'll tell you what I found out the other day.
What the hell do you know about the heat index? I'll show you.
I got some fucking satellite photos to prove you wrong.
I hate Paris.
We probably just triggered more people. So anyway, bottom line, we'll be here 2 weeks from tonight, the 18th of June. I don't know where that pay-per-view is, but it's somewhere. So
I thought it was, Great Balls of Fire is in Dallas or Austin.
yes, the Big D. Actually, I can look it up right here. Money in the Bank is live in St. Louis, Missouri, the home of Randall Orton. So we'll.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're gonna
There
have
you
the rematch. It's gonna be Randall versus Ginger.
The Maharaja and the Randalls.
The Maharaja.
The Maharaja.
The Maharaja.
So you gave tonight a thumbs up. Is that what you were going with?
No, I gave it a thumbs down.
Thumbs
because
down,
I'm not gonna
okay.
watch it again.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it a thumbs in the middle, even though you said you can't do that. But
No, you can't do that. That's a
I
push.
just
That-
did it. I just did it, Doug. How dare you?
God.
All right, we're going to get the hell out of here. Of course, subscribe to us on the YouTubes if you can. We appreciate that. You can leave a nice comment or a not nice comment because our last show there was a not nice comment. So there's just...
I'm sure we triggered plenty.
So if we did trigger you, feel free to tell us how we triggered you in the comments. Or if you would prefer not to watch us, you would rather listen to us, we are on iTunes and SoundCloud. Just search Wrestleview Media, and then we'll... Brox is already giving us thumbs down. Or maybe he's giving the show a thumbs down. I can't tell if Brox is giving us a thumbs down or the show. But either way, he's using his...
Either way,
God-given-
we encourage you
Either way.
to.
Brian Farmer says a thumbs to the eye needs to be an option on the poll. That would actually be a good option. That would be... I might have to think about that one, Mr. Farmer. Thank you. All right, Doug, any parting shots, any final words, any hot takes, anything like that, or you're good?
No, other than I mentioned it to you before I got on. There's a lot of electrical equipment around me.
Yeah. Can you
It's
can you raise up the webcam and show us, or is it?
Well, yeah, I think I can.
Okay.
So over,
Oh,
it's upside down.
it's a view
There
of
we
Doug's.
go.
So this is
So
what you look at.
there's a cable box and a Blu-ray player
Yeah.
and a Roku sitting on my computer desk.
Yeah.
But then underneath, and I can't really show it because my cord doesn't go that far with my camera.
Yeah.
But sitting on the floor is a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 3.
Ooh, upgrades.
I've been doing a lot of rearranging and moving around and stuff. And so that's temporarily where they are. And so, yeah, I've got a lot of dorky electronic stuff. I've been playing a lot of old Borderlands 2.
Ooh, that's a good game.
That's a great game to go back to. And I seem to have, I don't know what it was, but when you mentioned Farmer's comment about the thumbs in the eyes, somehow that sparked in me the lines that you hear from Borderlands 2 of all the enemies saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to shove your head into your tum-tum, stuff like that.
It's a silly game.
I just love that. I need a new puppet for my meat bicycle, stuff like that.
Speaking
I
of,
just love that game.
Speaking of technology, since we're on YouTube now, Doug, people can Chromecast us now to their TVs. So Isaac just posted this on our Facebook group. He was talking. It's strange that I'm on someone's television screen as they're watching.
I should
both
be
of
on
us.
everyone's television every day.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy that I'm just in someone's room or their bedroom or their living room, or it's just
Sometimes I'm there and they don't.
it's a little scary. It's like, hi, on those big
Big
screen
Brother's
TVs.
watching, kids.
Should I do a similar? Since you shared, should I share what I stare at?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's
Sure.
do it. Let's see if
Why
I can
not?
get it to work.
I cleverly hid my dorky stuff.
Your
so-
dorky stuff. Okay, so this is what I look at. It's going to be kind of hard. So I look at that screen. I see Doug up here. And then I also have the show recording audio over here on this other monitor. There's the soundboard. And the mic actually sits on a Bret Hart book that he signed to me. So I'll be dorky and I'll say, let's open it. Story time.
Oh, okay.
He's got some illustrations in here.
Ooh.
And there we go. I don't know why I use the Bret Hart book, but I do need to get a stand at some point of all these things. So that's
I
my,
do
that's my
I
little
do too
world.
because I'll throw mine down there. There's mine.
Yeah. Oh shit. No, I just screwed it up. Okay, there we go. Hi. There
Oh,
we go.
hey, how you doing?
Hi.
'Cause I'll
Hi,
show you
everybody.
this.
There we go. Okay.
There's my mic stand right
Yeah.
there.
So there you go. You got a little tour without asking. Maybe nobody wanted to look at the tour, but sorry.
Tune in 2 weeks from now where we go ahead and give you a tour of our bathrooms and living rooms.
That'd be
Show
fun if we
ya-
get a wireless webcam and just walk.
It'll
through.
be Wrestleview Live HGTV style.
You know what? At some point in the summertime, maybe for SummerSlam, I could set up all my stuff on the porch out back and just do a show outside. Because SummerSlam.
I thought about doing that sitting out on the balcony.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun,
Be fun.
right? Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. It'd be good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The problem is the frogs are really loud.
Yeah, you got a lot of frog problems, and I got a lot of bug problems. So I don't know if I want to be slapping bugs while I'm doing a podcast, but I'd probably be pissing off all the neighbors too.
Yeah, there's nothing more appealing when you're trying to do a podcast and you hear a lot about, 50 frogs in the background going, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me.
Is that what they really say, or is that just what you hope they
Well,
say?
it's their mating call. is
That's
what
very
they're
true.
doing.
They
They're
literally
all going,
fuck me, fuck me, fuck me,
fuck me.
fuck me, fuck me, fuck me.
Fuck me. That's what it sounds like.
It sure does. It's a little annoying. All right. Good podcast. Solid podcast, Doug.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Toad mating habits, what's on our computer tables, and this show sucked.
And fuck boys too. We worked that into the podcast as well. All right, everybody. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be here talking about Money in the Bank or Money in the Purse or whatever, according to Doug. So we'll
Please pray for the purse. I want a purse.
He really
I
wants
want
a
this
purse.
so derogatory and horrible as possible.
All right, Wrestleview Media on iTunes and SoundCloud, and of course, subscribe to us on the YouTubes. Type in Wrestleview Radio, whatever, you'll find it. We're there. And until then, we will talk to you later. Say bye, Doug.
Bye.
Bye.